Number one, please introduce yourself and is this pronunciation right? Wiener Wohnen?
Well, thank you very much for the invitation to this interview. My name is Christian Schantl, and I'm responsible at my company Wiener Wohnen for the International Relations Department. Wiener Wohnen is the owner and caretaker of the municipal housing complexes in Vienna. We have in our town 220,000 municipal housing flats, which is approximately 25% of the whole housing market.
Thank you. For the second question, how would you define social housing? Is there any legal or official definition in Austria?
There is one, because we do have a legal network for subsidized housing in Austria in total. It's a government law, and the money which comes in from the taxes are given to the diverse departments in Austria, and Vienna receives about 250 million euros per year from these housing taxes. And with these taxes, Vienna can subsidize his municipal housing market, as well as the non-profit and limited profit companies for constructing subsidized housing flats and apartments.
Well, the proportion of social housing in Austria is the second highest in EU, which is remarkable. And since when and how did Austria have such a large share of social housing?
Well, our history of social housing is now 100 years old. So we have a huge tradition in subsidized and affordable housing, and in the beginning of investing in affordable housing, the city of Vienna primarily invested in municipal housing apartments. So the city of Vienna built up by themselves these apartments, and the system changed a little bit to the subsidized market. Nowadays, most apartments, or most affordable housing apartments, are built by non-profit or limited profit companies. So the system changed a little bit, but the criteria for both sectors are nearly the same. And the price limits are also the rent price limits. So either the subsidized market or the municipal housing market is an offer to the whole population of Vienna.
And for question 4, a lot of Koreans consider houses as the means of investment rather than the means of dwelling. So in Korea, one buys a house in a very cheap price and then waits for it to soar. So how do Austrians interpret housing? Is it quite similar or different?
Well, let me talk now about just Vienna, because Vienna is different to the rest of Austria. In Vienna, we have a huge rental market. In the rest of Austria, this it's different. There, the number of ownership housing is much higher than we have it in Vienna. In Vienna, just 20% of the whole market is in private hands. 75% of all Viennese live in rental apartments. So Vienna is a city of tenants, and that's the reason why investment isn't that high. Investment in housing isn't that high, and it's not seen as an investment in where you can get out money by doing so, but it's an invest. When you invest by yourself, then mainly because you want to own your own apartment, not because you want to receive money out of these investments. And as I mentioned, it's just a small sector. 75% are in rental apartments, are tenants. So we don't see housing as an investment, mainly.
That's very different from Korea. Okay, thank you. And okay, I'll move to question number 6, which is according to OECD Affordable Housing Database, there is a strong presence of non- or limit-profit housing associations in Austria compared to Korea. And they account for more than 70% of the whole providers in Austria. And this is very different from Korea. So what makes this possible?
Well, as mentioned, that's the Austrian tradition, the Viennese tradition, which made that possible, and which is the reason for the situation we find nowadays in Vienna. Affordable housing, the Viennese model of subsidized housing is now 100 years old. And the reason why the city of Vienna implemented this system was the experiences before the First World War and after the Second World War. In these periods, the housing was a huge problem for many Viennese. They didn't have their own home, and so the city of Vienna did the best to improve the situation for the population in Vienna, and that's the reason for these huge investments, which never stopped. The city of Vienna never thought about selling its property, and that's a huge difference between Vienna and many other cities in Europe, in Germany, for instance, in Berlin, in Munich, or in other places, Hamburg. The tradition of social housing was like in Vienna, but in times of neoliberalism, they sold their property, and nowadays they have a huge problem because they don't have homes they can offer to their populations any longer. Vienna didn't have that problem, and referred on his systems till now, and we still construct and build up affordable housing year by year. About 7,000 flats per year are built in Vienna every year, and the city of Vienna in total invests about 500 million euros in this system. So it never changed, and I don't think it will change in the future, and that's the main reason why we have this good situation of affordable homes.
Well, I think it's very different from Korea. Why do Viennese people don't see housing as an investment?
That might be the tradition of our housing system. Viennese people are used to live as tenants. On one hand, on the other hand, it's the very high security they have as tenants. If you have your contract, this contract lasts forever. You can't be evicted. So as a tenant, you have a high security to keep your apartment. You even can give it to your children, like you could as an owner. So the situation between ownership and tenants is very similar. It's not so much different.
And so I'll go on to the next question.
Yes.
About social mix. Do Austrian social housing stock maintain social mix? If not, are there any prejudices against social housing?
Yeah. The number of municipal housing apartments is 220,000. The number of subsidized housings is 200,000. These two segments of the housing market provides more than 50% of the total apartments in Vienna. So the number of people living in this segment is huge. It's the middle class. So it's not a you're not seen as somebody who
Poor.
Who is poor, who is vulnerable, who has a lot of social problems. Maybe it's quite normal to live in these apartments.
And stay safe, stay healthy.
You too. Thank you very much for your call.
Okay.
Have a nice day.